This is the keynote presentation from the Pharma Advances conference in January 2023. So my talk was on strategy is the gun, creativity is the bullet, and particularly why human to human is the new face of precision medicine for transforming big pharma, patient, and healthcare professional digital engagement. And really there are three key issues that arise on a regular basis when we're looking at activating, be it brand or direct communications and campaigns for this particular sector. And they come up repeatedly. The first being, why do digital channels garner more attention than the content being communicated? This is a regular occurrence. The second issue is why a platform is not a differentiator, even though it's treated as such, and creative and messaging drives the actual behavior change. And the third is how a test and learn strategy proves one size does not fit all, which is an ongoing challenge and one that's often overlooked. So to address the first issue around why do digital channels garner more attention than the content being communicated, we often see that the platform owners are so geared up towards selling. They have a strong sales pitch in place, and that is underpinned by easy to use, easy to see, easy to measure sets of KPIs, a lot of which are vanity metrics. Their predetermined tracking and metrics are all built in, so many of the platforms determine how you actually measure success by default, rather than designing what success looks like. Marketers, particularly in the big pharma sectors, we're finding that marketers are very secure in the platform data because they're using this platform data to manage upwards. And they're rarely interrogating the true value of that platform data. And the KPIs are becoming homogenous. They also find that content is ethereal. It's perceived as very challenging to test. Reporting on its performance is very much reliant on the level of understanding and segmentation of the audience being targeted, and this can often be limited. So in summary, we're seeing on a regular basis that reach is so much easier to quantify than engagement. Platforms are far more easy to select and pay attention to rather than the content and the creative being delivered on those platforms. So the second issue arising, and it's a topic that we find ourselves raising on almost a weekly basis, why a platform is not a differentiator and creative and messaging drives behavior change. Well, the first thing to remember is that platforms are equally accessible by everyone in market, and the metrics for success and the KPIs are largely homogenized. So true user behavior shifts depending on each platform environment, but is largely down to the content being delivered. It's very easy, therefore, to look at creative and messaging and disregard that as a functional need. But actually, creative and messaging and the content is the only opportunity to differentiate. And in fact, we're seeing a real surge in behavioral models, such as the Decision Labs COM-B capabilities, opportunities, motivations, and behaviors, where you're able to really deep dive into your target audience and understand them from a motivatory and behavioral perspective, and build out metrics and measures for success based on what those motivations are, how well your communications deliver against those motivations, and how you change your audience behavior to your advantage. By understanding this framework, we're actually able to tailor creative and messaging based purely on these insights and not based solely on the KPIs and metrics coming from the platforms. So a successful user experience is always based on relevance, creative and messaging served across each platform, and pretty quickly becomes a sole differentiator. What's interesting is we're finding that 47% of healthcare professionals prefer receiving communications through email, but email very regularly tops the number one channel and is very often the solo channel. So a mix of channels with a mix of creative and messaging is vital if you're looking to truly engage with your target audience, help to deliver on what motivates them, and ultimately change their behavior towards your brand. So the thing to remember, and the thing that we often bring back to, is anyone can pay to play. What you say and where you say it is what makes the true difference. So the final piece is how a test and learn strategy proves one size does not fit all. So we know that from understanding through the COM-B model what the behaviours and motivations of different segment groups and different target audiences and how they react, and we know over a long period of time, and gathering that data and analysing that data, we know that the true test and learn is an iterative process. It's an ongoing process, and one that needs to be conducted over months, possibly years, not days, possibly weeks. And in fact, we're seeing at the moment, particularly with our Future Health being the UK's largest ever health research programme, and looking to recruit 5 million UK adults, representative of the population split and the demographic split across the country. We're seeing that the COM-B model and understanding how those different demographics really work and interact is a vital component of a successful campaign to recruit volunteers to give bloods and become part of this programme on an ongoing basis. What we learn through the COM-B model is that middle class white are very open to the support of NHS, are very happy to be involved with NHS programmes, as long as it doesn't infringe on their day-to-day lives too much. And there's a relatively low level of scepticism with the NHS and our Future Health indeed holding personal medical data. And we indeed know that the medical fraternity, healthcare professionals particularly, are very open to this, as you would expect. But the COM-B model has really shown that certain ethnic minorities in locations such as Bradford, where you've got a high number of Middle Eastern residents and African residents, they actually have a deep scepticism towards any governmental or authoritative body, and have a deep scepticism towards organisations such as the NHS. So partnering with the NHS does not help. And in fact, we're having to use very specific outreach methods, and will be deploying specific outreach methods by going through community influencers, for example, to be able to access these ethnic minorities so that we can make sure that they're included on the National Health Research Programme. And the way that we're applying the COM-B model and learning these different things about these different communities, is all based on test and learn campaigns. So we develop insights, we drive the insights out through marketing and advertising, communications and in-community action. And then we look at how that performs, and we do use the platform metrics at that stage to look at how those campaigns are performed, before then delivering an iterative optimization across all of those different assets. And particularly with the digital channels, we're able to do that in real time. With the offline channels, out of home, radio, TV, for example, those sorts of traditional offline channels, it's a much deeper process. But what we are encouraged by is that the learnings that we take in the real-time iterative process can then be applied to those offline channels, so we know the communications we're going to market with are robust. So ultimately, the results speak for themselves, and here we are between September and January 2023, securing 200,000 volunteers and starting to make that march towards the 5 million target. So far only launched in Leeds, Bradford, Manchester and London, but to be rolled out nationally. So really, one of the most important takeouts from all of this, and the reason why the COM-B model and not using platform metrics in quite the linear fashion in which they're set up to deliver results and reporting, is that the real competition for any healthcare professionals, or consumers for that matter, is not your competition's brand experience. It's actually the last best brand experience that they've been on a journey with. So Starbucks, IKEA or Amazon. And because of this, we're seeing in the pharmaceutical industry, particularly in the healthcare and in the life sciences industries, we're seeing a significant shift now and a realization that the digital experience and the understanding of the audience to be able to deliver an appropriate digital experience is now a vital component and a real focus for those organizations, which is encouraging, but there's still work to do.